Hi all, my name is Jenny and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be the start of a very exciting vlog because I have just started my spring break. So I am officially on spring break, which means I have all of next week off of work. It is currently Friday, April 2nd, so I had work today. We were very excited about spring break, and now I have the next 9 days off. And what's also exciting is that on the 10th of April, I will be getting my second COVID shot, so that's exciting. And also during this week, I am taking a little trip up to Charlottesville, Virginia to check out UVA before I officially confirm that that is where I want to go for grad school. So I'll take you along during that part of my journey as well. While I won't be fully vaccinated, I am going to be very safe. Don't really plan on interacting with much of anyone, really. Just kind of wandering around, probably getting, you know, food to go and maybe checking out a bookstore or two, and obviously checking out the campus and just kind of seeing what the vibe is like, as I've not been to Charlottesville in a long time. So that is kind of my plans for the week. Other than that, I'm literally just gonna be reading. I have like 2 other meeting things scheduled during this week, but really hoping to get a lot of reading done. So I thought it would be fun to vlog this week as I try to read as much as I can. And I actually have a fun reading project planned for this week, which is that I'm going to totally randomize the books I am reading. So I'll show you my kind of bookshelf that I'll be pulling books from in just a minute. But I thought that would be a fun way to kind of spice up my reading. There's a lot of books I'm really eager to get to, or books that have been on like previous TBRs, and so I thought it'd be fun to just kind of randomize it and see which ones the fates have for me to read. In addition to those kind of random books that I'll be picking throughout the vlog, I do have a couple other books that I will kind of be reading or listening to in passing that I'll probably mention a bit in this vlog. The first of those is To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters, which I actually just got approved of on NetGalley on like Wednesday or Tuesday, and I started reading it yesterday, and I am 62% of the way through it already, through yesterday and today during work. I definitely think I'll be finishing it tonight just because I need to know what happens. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Will probably be a 5-star read. Really loving it quite a lot. It's giving me big Bridgerton vibes, which may just be because Bridgerton was the last like piece of historical romance media that I've consumed, but I love it. It's so fun. It's a kind of friends, kind of enemies. I mean, they're like bantery people that don't necessarily believe they get along, but actually they do get along very well. The woman is a widow, and that man is a very kind of rakish, you know, gets around town type of person. And he, after a very abrupt ending to one of his love affairs, gets told that he's not actually like as good in bed as he thinks he is. And so he approaches his friend, who's our female love interest, but they kind of get together and he can like make sure that he is like everything he purports himself to be, which is hilarious. I love it. It's a great dynamic between the two of them. Their banter is great. Loving really all of it, so would highly recommend that one so far. And then I also am reading Low Country by Nicole, but I'm talking about that one in my ARC vlog, which will come out after this one does. But I am about 20% of the way through that, and I expect I'll finish it in the next couple of days as well. And then also at some point this weekend, I'll be reading the first 30 pages of the Swan book, which I'm tackling with Lindsay. And as you can see, I actually have started this, barely, because I've only read 20 pages. But I'm going to start from the beginning because it's been a while since I picked this up, and I don't really remember what was happening in those first 20 pages, so I figured it'd be best to just start from the beginning again. So that's another book that'll be going on in the background. And then finally, as an audiobook I've been listening to on and off, A Most Beautiful Thing by R.J. Cooper, which is a memoir about R.J. Cooper's experience as a rower on the first black rowing team, public high school rowing team or something. He went to public high school in the west side of Chicago in a neighborhood that's kind of ridden with gangs and a lot of violence. He didn't have the greatest high school experience, but then joined this rowing team that came and kind of was mainly about creating a way out of the high school and a way to graduate and go off to college through this rowing team. And so it's kind of his experience about that. I think I'm about 25% of the way through it. It's pretty interesting so far. I thought I would be engaged with it, but it's a little too much about rowing for me to fully care about it. Those are kind of all my plans for now, aside from my random book that we will both pick in just a moment. So let's just move into picking the random book. Okay, so here is my like high priority TBR shelf. I do have more books. That's my like entire physical TBR, but this little shelf, I've been keeping the books I'm like most excited to get to / have talked about in TBR videos. So All of these ones are 7 books that I mentioned in January through March TBRs that I haven't gotten to. This little section are books that I'm just super excited to get to but haven't like officially mentioned in a TBR. This one, the Elena Ferrante, I need to get to because I read the first one with 2 of my best friends in our little book club, and they have now read the second and the third, and they want to read the 4th one, which is the last one, together as a book club. And I haven't even read the second one, so they're kind of mad at me about that, so I need to read that one. And then these are the books that I mentioned in my April TBR, sans this one, which I didn't mention, but is my current book club pick for, it'll be April through the first half of May. So that one's on that little April shelf in case I want to get to it in April, but I actually won't be picking from any of these 3 because these 2 are buddy reads. So I'm going to take those off actually for now. And then these ones are ones that I'm like, not entirely sure I actually still want to read, which is why they have these little orange stickers on them. Although I've now heard more positive things. I know Lindsay just read this cluster recently and she really liked it. And then Animal by Lisa Tadeo doesn't come out till June, but it's a physical arc as you can see, and so I wanted to keep it on this shelf as opposed to over here where it was for a while, but I've now moved it over here. But it's also not going to be included because I won't be reading that one till May. So all in all, there's 21 books that I can pick from. So as you can see, I have my little random generator set up here. Also, don't mind, this was a gift from one of the children. It changes color. Thought that would be fun. So I have my little random.org set up here, and we will just see, you can watch too, which number comes up. Okay, 7. So 7's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's what I thought. I randomly picked Children of Blood and Bone, which I included in my January TBR. This was one of my random pre-2020 picks in January. And as you can see, it's quite long, so I have been hesitant to get to it for that reason. But perhaps spring break is the chance that I need to read this. So I probably will check out the audiobook because I'm pretty sure the Atlanta library has like 200 audio copies because this book was so popular that they bought so many. And now it's always available. It also came out now several years ago, so I guess not so many people are probably reading it anymore. Yeah, it came out back in 2018. So this will be the first random book I'm reading. So as soon as I finish this romance novel, I will really be dedicating some good time to Children of Blood and Bone. So let me check, as I said, if there's an audiobook copy of this, just because that way I can kind of read and listen at the same time and perhaps like take it on some like walks and stuff, or more likely play games on my phone while also listening to it. So I will check on that, and I will keep you updated once I've finished To Love and to Loathe, or I've made more significant progress on Children of Blood and Bone. So it's not been terribly long since I last updated you, but I realized I have 2 things that I wanted to share. The first of which is that I actually forgot to mention a book that I am reading, which is A Map is Only One Story, 20 Writers on Immigration, Family, and a Meaning of Home. This is out from Catapult Press and came out last year, 2020, towards the beginning of the year, I think like January or February. And I bought this. This was one of the last books that I bought right before the pandemic started, and so I bought it in person at a little bookstore here in Atlanta, which is called Karis. I think I've mentioned them previously before on my channel. Here's their bookmark. There, that's much better. And has just been sitting on my shelf since then. Now I'm trying to find where the bookmark was. Okay, here we go. And this collection is so far just okay. I'm not super loving any of the essays so far, but I did read today one that I found somewhat interesting, which was called My Indian Passport is a Bitch, I think. And it was about the intersection of travel and immigration and how kind of American and other Western countries are really able to travel anywhere in the world without really being stopped, whereas that's not true for other people, even people with wealth in other countries. So for example, the author is an Indian citizen, or at least she was at the time that she wrote this essay. And so as an Indian citizen, while she has some money, I mean, she's a writer, so she doesn't have a ton of stable income or a big safety net, but she is, you know, has some wealth, and as do many other people in India. But because there's so many people living in poverty, and because India is such a place of emigration in that many people move elsewhere in the world, it's very difficult for Indian citizens to get visas to travel to other countries. And so she was talking about a personal experience that she had in trying to visit Thailand on an extended vacation with her English husband, who they first started in Hong Kong and then they went to the States. And then they tried to go to Thailand, and she actually had to go back to India to get a visa because the Thai government in Thailand was not going to give her one because of her Indian passport. And so I thought that was a really interesting discussion that I've not really seen before, so I appreciated that essay. But other than that, the essays have been fine. I think a lot of them feel a little formulaic, which is intriguing, or they also are trying to tie in another piece of cultural commentary that doesn't really work with the other elements of the essay so far. So there's that one. But then I also wanted to mention that in the mail I just got a new pair of Chacos, which are my absolute favorite shoe. I love them. I wear them probably like 300 plus days a year. So I got my first pair back in like 2013 when I was still in high school, and then I wore that pair for several years. And then in college I really started wearing them quite a lot, despite going to school in Minnesota, and so I could wear them for significantly less of the year than I can here in the South. But even then I still was wearing them all the time. And then I remember I had a summer job in 2017, and then I went abroad to Tanzania the fall of 2017. And so from basically June or like May of 2017, when it was nice enough to wear them in Northfield, to December of 2017, I wore them pretty much every single day. And so that was like truly, what is that, like 180 days of constant wearing. And since then I've definitely probably put about 300 plus days in each of my subsequent pairs. I think I've had 2 pairs since 2017. But so I figured it was time to get another pair. My current pair is still fine, like I can still wear them. I walk with purpose, as my grandfather once said. And so I really wear down my shoes. And since I wear these for like 300 plus days a year, despite the fact that they're, in my opinion, very well made shoes, I still wear them down. But I got this new pair that I'm really excited about that I just wanted to show. This isn't a weird angle, but I'll maybe show them on my foot in a little bit. But they have a thick strap and a thin strap, which usually the ones that I've gotten previously only have 2 thin straps. And I also like the toe strap because I just prefer the stability of the toe strap, but I just thought this pattern was really fun. And the bottom is nice, and it has a pretty thick heel, which is usually where the wear happens on my shoes. So hopefully that means this pair will last me a little longer. REI was doing a member sale like 2 weekends ago, and these were on REI outlet. So I got them for like 60 bucks or so, which is about how much I usually pay for chocos, because I always get them at sale on REI, because they always do a Memorial Day weekend big sale, and that's usually when I buy them. But this year I decided to buy them a little early because I had the money to do so. Hello everyone, so it's Saturday morning. I wanted to hop on here before I film my marked wrap up to let you know that last night I did finish To Love and to Loathe, and I did love it. I gave it 4.5 stars. Would highly recommend, especially if you watch Bridgerton and need something that kind of reminds you of Bridgerton back in your life. It definitely filled that niche for me. The one thing that I didn't love about it, and I talked about this in my review on Goodreads, which I will always have my Goodreads linked down in the description box below, was that there were just a few too many subplots, and so by the end it was kind of getting a little long in terms of trying to wrap up some of the subplots but also leave them open for like future books. I feel like there's a lot of kind of future books set up in this book, which I didn't particularly love because it kind of took away from the main part of the story. But other than that, I thought the book was really fun. I really enjoyed Diana and Jeremy as main leads. I thought they had great banter and great chemistry, and I enjoyed how it ended. I thought it was sweet and cute. It did wrap up a little quickly for how long the book was because of all these various other non-necessary subplots, but at the same time I didn't really care that much. I really enjoyed it quite a lot. Would definitely recommend it, and definitely want to check out Martha Waters' debut novel, which I never ended up reading, which is To Have and Hoax, at some point in the near future, which had been on my TBR as like a book that I want to get to in the near future anyway, but now I have renewed motivation because I enjoyed this one so much. So thank you again to Atria Books for sending me this early copy. So it's about 2 p.m. on Saturday, and I was just reading some of Children of Blood and Bone and listening to the audiobook, but I was realizing that I actually have started the audiobook in the past, and I really don't like the audiobook narrator, so I think I'm gonna read it physically and not listen to the audiobook, which is fine. But yeah, I'm gonna do that for about like 20-30 minutes, maybe even 40 minutes, and then work on editing my video a little bit, and then probably also start editing this vlog a little bit, and then do yoga around 3 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. So it is Monday morning. I was just making some meal plans for the next couple weeks because my sister is coming down next week. Well, actually this Friday she'll be coming, and I'll be coming with her. So I wanted to plan meals for that, like, she particularly likes for next week. And then also I'm gone on Thursday and Friday, and we have a few things that we need to like eat up and stuff. So I was working on that, but my other plans for the day are going to Trader Joe's in a little bit, and then I have a meeting thing. It's actually like a research interview with The Atlantic, which I've done once before and it was really actually kind of fun, so I'm excited to do another one. This one's about books and reading, and they're kind of like bookish related content, I think. But then my other plans for the day are to hopefully finish Low Country by Nicole Jones, which I'm not talking about in this vlog, but I will be reading. My Kindle says I have less than an hour left of the book, so I can definitely finish that today. And then the other one that I would ideally like to finish today, if I can, is A Map is Only One Story, because I think I have less than 100 pages left in this one, maybe like 5 essays or so, which the essays read pretty quickly. I read like 4 or 5 of them just last night, like right as I was getting ready for bed. So I think I will definitely be able to finish this one out. And then I'd like to also make some pretty significant progress in Children of Blood and Bone, because I am close to 200. I'm 173 pages into it, and it reads pretty quickly, but it is like over 500 pages long, and I would like to finish this by like Wednesday at the latest if possible. So those are my reading plans for the day. So I just finished A Map is Only One Story, and I think I'm gonna end up giving this one 3.5 stars. I don't remember how much I've told you since I last checked in about this book, but I don't think it's been a whole lot. I've read the vast majority of it like last night and then for most of today. None of the essays in particular really stood out to me as like really incredible essays, and a lot of them just felt pretty mediocre. I did talk previously about My Indian Passport is a Bitch, which was probably my favorite. I also, just looking at the introduction, really enjoyed Return to Partition, which is about a young woman who's visiting her grandfather who's lived in Pakistan since partition and had just returned to India as tourists with his family, but he returned to the same village where he actually was from and where he traveled from after partition when he was a young boy. And so it's about his kind of memories of that place and how he feels like a stranger there, even though this is where he was born. I thought that one essay was really good. I also liked The Dressed by Soraya Membrano, which was about Membrano's experience graduating from an elite liberal arts school in New England, and kind of the excuse me, sorry, and kind of the like unspoken ways of decorum in like preppy New England families, and just kind of the upper middle class, particularly in New England, but I'm sure elsewhere in the United States as well. And I found that one really interesting. And it's also about how all these other families have, you know, huge numbers of people coming to the graduation, and yet she only had her father because her mother was in Peru, if I remember correctly, and was unable to travel to the United States at this point in their lives, or wasn't in the United States at the time and just couldn't come. So I thought that one was really interesting, but she kind of centers it around the idea of this dress that everyone else wears that she didn't really get the memo on. I also then liked The Wailing, which was about a young woman whose father is Ghanaian and her stepmother is Tanzanian, and she's currently living, or she was living at the time that the events of the essay take place, in Rome, and her father works for the United Nations, but he gets cancer and he passes away. And it's about the kind of false grieving, or kind of faux grieving, that a lot of other people in their community were doing as part of a kind of cultural tradition that the author didn't really feel super connected to herself and didn't feel like her dad would really like. And so I did appreciate that one as well. So yeah, I mean, they were solid essays. I feel like if you enjoy essays and like are really interested in themes of immigration and placemaking, that you would probably like this collection. But it definitely wasn't like a standout collection. I feel like they were all fairly like formulaic. So there is that one. I also am hoping later today to finish Low Country, which I think I mentioned in a check-in that I did earlier today. And then I've made some progress in Children of Blood and Bone. I am on page 222, and once I finish Low Country, which I think I only have like 20-ish minutes left, so that shouldn't be too long, I hopefully am going to dig into this tonight, as long as I don't get drawn into the March Madness Championship, which is on tonight as well. I'm debating whether or not I'm gonna pick another one of my random books now that I've finished A Map is Only One Story, or if I'm gonna try to make more progress in this and see if I can finish it tomorrow. I definitely think that's possible since I won't have as many books on the go once I finish Low Country and now that I finished A Map is Only One Story. So we'll just see what happens with all that, but I'll keep you updated, obviously. This is not the most flattering angle. I can already see that right now, but we're gonna go with it. But I'm reading Children of Blood and Bone. It's Tuesday, and I literally was just thinking, I was like, oh, I wonder if this book will have a love triangle, because we've already developed one interest. And then I turn the page, next page, 355, we run into a second love interest. And I was like, you can't have a YA fantasy book. I don't read a lot of YA fantasy, but I know that you can't have a YA fantasy book without having a love triangle. I also wanted to hop on and say that I finished Children of Blood and Bone just now, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 4.25 stars, and I can definitely see why it was all the rage back when it came out in 2018. I think it is doing a lot of really great things with the YA fantasy genre. I think the pacing of the book is really well done. It's super fast paced, super engaging to kind of continue turning the pages. The plot is really interesting and continues to move forward. I think at times it does kind of skip over moments that could have been dragged out a little bit more, but at the same time this book's already over 500 pages, so I understand why things kind of happen very quickly and we'd quickly kind of move on to a new adventure. I also thought that the characterization was pretty well done. I liked all of the characters for the most part. I do think at times they kind of fell into a bit of kind of YA tropey territory of different tropes that are like throughout the YA fantasy genre, particularly in terms of their romantic relationships. Like all four of the main characters here get involved with one another in some like romantic capacity, which I didn't entirely think was necessary, but I also understand that romance is a big part of the YA fantasy genre, and so I'm not surprised that there were these kind of romantic elements to the book. I will say too that I also really appreciated the kind of commentary and conversation around trauma and resistance and resilience and kind of the Black experience more broadly in the United States. I think that is a really important part of this book, and I think allowed for a lot of really important conversations to come out of the publication of this book. So obviously I appreciate it for that reason as well. And I also just think that this book helped to open doors for a lot of other books of this nature. I think this book being a kind of like a super publicized diverse YA fantasy, I think then helped to open the doors to like the very numerous diverse YA fantasies that we're kind of seeing now. So I think there's a lot of great stuff here. I'm not sure if I'm going to read the second one because I've heard pretty much only negative things about it. I am kind of intrigued to continue on, but I also feel like this one ended in a place where I could be happy just ending here. I'm definitely glad I read it. I'm definitely glad to have had this now off of my shelves. I just was filling in my Excel spreadsheet and I've had this on my shelves for like over 2 years. So really excited that I finally was able to finish this one. But that also means that I need to pick my next random book. So I thought we would do that together right now, and I'll tell you what it is. So I have my computer here and I will pull up my random number generator. And I now have 20 books on the shelf because I just took one off. So let's change this to 20. And the number is 8. So let's see what 8 is. I don't remember. Here, I'll turn you around. I didn't. Hello. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, another chonky boy. Number 8 ended up being The Story of a New Name by Elena Ferrante, which is another chonky boy. I think this one's also over 500 pages, or at least very close to that. Let's see, yeah, 471. So it's not quite 500 pages, but definitely on the longer side. And this is one that I think I mentioned in my earlier clip that both of my two besties in my book club have read this and really want me to read it and then read the third one so that we can read the fourth one together. So they'll be super pleased that I'm picking this one up. And also I'm glad, excuse me, I'm glad that I will have this kind of knocked off because I feel like spring break will be a nice time to dig into this one. So I will be starting this shortly, but I think that's all for now. I was potentially going to pick up another one of the books as a nonfiction pick because several of these books are available right now as audiobooks, but I think I might save that till I finish A Most Beautiful Thing, which I'm still working on. I have about half the book left, and while that's only about like 2 hours of listening speed, it's going really slowly because I'm just not enjoying A Most Beautiful Thing all that much. I just don't really like memoirs that much, and I don't think sports memoirs are super for me, and there's not a lot of kind of other themes besides like sports and his personal experiences that are engaging me that much. So yeah, that's my kind of reflections on A Most Beautiful Thing right now, and I will check in once I've read some more of the story, or a story, what is it? The Story of a New Name. Hi all, so I'm going to make this relatively quick because my dad and I are about to head out on a walk with the dog. We are fostering a dog right now, which I believe you saw in a previous clip. His name is Duffy. He's a Great Pyrenees, which is what our previous dog was. She was a mix between a Golden and a Great Pyrenees, and so we've slowly gotten back into like the dog having world with fostering, and it's been really fun. So we have this dog Duffy, although he's probably leaving us this weekend to go to his forever home. But I wanted to let you know that I finished Most Beautiful Thing by R.J. Cooper. I was listening to this one as I was like making dinner, and I just happened to finish it, so I thought I would come on here and kind of tell you my brief thoughts. I thought this was okay. I had won this as a Goodreads giveaway for the like ebook copy, and then it was available on my library towards the end of March, and so I just picked it up kind of on a whim. And I would recommend the audiobook. I think the narrator does a really great job, but the actual contents of the book itself were just fine. I didn't particularly feel super engaged by the memoir. It wasn't written in a way that was really engaging. It was very kind of formulaic in its writing style, which makes sense given that R.J. Cooper is not a person who is a writer. I mean, he's writing this story about his experience, but he's not, like, I'm not sure he classified himself as a writer, if that makes sense. So it was pretty kind of run-of-the-mill in terms of the writing style, but I thought the content was great. I appreciated the story and the way that he emphasized how these different people in his life really helped him to then go on and do bigger and better things. I thought that was really well done. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. If you like sports memoirs, I would recommend this one, but I thought it was kind of boring, particularly the sports parts I just didn't find very interesting. So there is that one, but that also means that I'm going to pick another audiobook to listen to perhaps over the next couple of days, if not like longer into the future. So I have 9 books from my little shelf that we've been picking from that are audiobooks that are available right now. So I'll show you those in a minute and then do the random number generator to figure out which one I will be listening to. I also wanted to mention that I have not yet started The Story of a New Name, but I'm going to be starting this one later tonight, and my friends are very excited that I'm reading this. And then I think I also tomorrow I'm going to try to read through Danger on Peaks by Gary Snyder, which was another of the books that was on this shelf because it's so short and it's a poetry collection, and I've just had it on my shelf for a long time and I feel like I should get to it. I read some Gary Snyder in a class I took on Buddhism and the beatniks, and Gary Snyder is my favorite of that class of the authors we read, and so I picked up this poetry collection several years ago and just have never gotten to it. So that's another thing that will be on my kind of to-do list tomorrow. So here are all 9 of the ones that are available right now kind of laid out, and I'm planning on including this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the order in which we'll be doing the random number generator. So okay, here we go. Where's my mouse? Oh, here it is. 9. Okay, so 9 is going to be Close My Heads to Underground Railroad. Okay, so this will be the next book that I pick up. So as you just saw, the Underground Railroad is the one that got picked, and this is good because I think this will be the first book from my actual April TBR that I'll be reading this month, aside from Low Country. But I have tried listening to the audiobook of this in the past, and I think I mentioned this in my April TBR and just did not get through it. However, I was driving at that time, so I'm not sure if that partially attributed to me being unable to like focus on the audiobook version. So I think kind of reading along physically while also listening will hopefully get me kind of more interested in this one. So I'll check in with this one and The Story of a New Name once I've read some more. Hello all from Charlottesville. So it is Thursday evening now, as you can see from it being dark outside, and I just got back from eating dinner, but I wanted to check in because I have not yet checked in since I got here. I got up super early this morning and have just kind of had a busy day of like checking out the campus and going downtown, visiting some bookstores, which we'll get to the books that I got in just a minute, and then like crashing around 3:30 and then chilling and then driving around some different neighborhoods I might be interested in living in. And so I figured I would quickly show you the books that I got because I feel like that would be an exciting thing, and then I'll probably check in tomorrow because I'm pretty tired tonight and I have to do yoga, and then I will probably be going at a night pretty early because I'm pretty exhausted and would like to get a fair amount of stuff done tomorrow before I have to drive back towards Richmond, where my sister Carolyn will pick me up. She's driving home to Atlanta from DC for the week, and so we are like meeting in Richmond so that she can pick me up. So that's the plan. And I'll check in with you, or let me show you the books, and then I'll check in with you tomorrow. Okay, so first off, I visited this bookstore, which is in downtown Charlottesville, called New Dominion, and they gave me this tote bag, even though I had not spent the amount of money that I was supposed to have spent to give me the tote bag, but I was sporting another bookstore loving tote bag, and I was like pretty close to the amount, so they decided to just give it to me anyway. But then the two books I got were The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Disha Philia. I've heard a bunch of people talking about this, and yet I don't know how you say her name, but this is a short story collection out from, I think, West Virginia Press? Yeah, West Virginia University Press. And these are about Black women living in the South, I believe, particularly in Appalachia, and their families and their lives, and I'm super excited about this one. I've been meaning to get to it for a while, and this was, like, all over the New Dominion bookstore, so I was like, I will pick up a copy. And then the other one that I was like, I will probably get this one if they have it, and they had pretty much everything. They definitely, like, check mark for me in terms of a bookstore to like be in the place where I'm living. They had Red Island House by Andrea Lee, which is an anticipated release that I've talked about before, and I'm super excited about this one. It's about a Black woman who's a professor who marries an Italian man, and he builds this house in Madagascar, and the two of them live there together, but she feels like she has a really weird role there as kind of this neo-colonial person living in this mansion in Madagascar where there's a lot of poverty, and so I'm really excited about this one. I've heard really good things, and I've heard it's almost kind of interconnected short story vignette type things as well. So those are the two books that I got. I will try to get some clips tomorrow of Charlottesville and the campus and stuff. I think it's supposed to be a little dreary tomorrow, which is fine with me. Walking on the Monticello Trail at Thomas Jefferson's house because it was free, and it is lovely spring here. It unfortunately is pretty foggy today, so I can't see very much, but it's still a lovely day for a walk. It's not actively raining right now. I'm pretty much the only one on this trail. There's a group of older people, but I passed them quite a while ago, and I have not seen that many people coming back this way. But I am wearing my new Virginia shirt that I just got, and I did get another 2 books at the UVA bookstore, which I'll show you when I get back to the car. But yeah, now I'm just waiting to hear from my sister, who is driving from DC, when I should head back from this trail. So I'm gonna walk a little bit longer. Oh, there's some people up ahead of me. And I'll try to get some more clips. It is a really beautiful spring day though. I really waffle back and forth between what is my favorite season, spring or fall. But honestly, it might be spring. I say that every time I'm in the season. I will say that that one's my favorite. I am here up at an overlook. You can't really see much of anything. I don't know how well you'll be able to see any of that, but I think now I'm gonna start heading back and get some lunch. There are more trails. As you can see, there's a trail there that could take me back to where I was the long way. But since I don't know what is happening with my sister, I think I'm just gonna go right the way I came. I think it's probably about a mile and a half to where I am, so it'll be about 3 miles in total. I think the map on the internet that the guide person told me to look at is not the best map, so yeah, I think that's the plan. I bet this would be a nice view if it wasn't so foggy. It is Saturday at close to 5 p.m. now. I didn't ever get around to updating you yesterday because I finished my walk and then I kind of got on the road to head back to Richmond. Then I drove yesterday from Richmond all the way back to Atlanta, and we got home around about 2 a.m. so that was fun. And then this morning at 10:30 I got my second dose of my COVID shot, so I'm fully vaccinated, which is awesome. I still have the like 2 weeks obviously of kind of you know, waiting period, but I don't have to get any more of the shots, which is fantastic. I am hoping that other people who are watching this are able to get vaccinated or are already vaccinated very soon. And so yeah, I have had a pretty lazy day today just because yesterday and the past couple days were so exhausting. So I haven't really been doing much of anything today except looking at some bridesmaid dresses for my cousin's wedding that's happening this summer. So that was about it. I also realized yesterday that I did not read a single page. I didn't read at all because I was doing stuff in the morning and then I was driving and then it was 2 a.m. and I went right to sleep and I didn't even read before bed, which is something that I've been doing pretty much every night for the past like 3 or 4 years. So crazy that I broke a many year reading streak, I would assume, of days where I just read at least a page or two every single night. So pretty wild that I broke that streak, but such is life sometimes. So I thought this would be a good time to kind of wrap up this vlog here because I'm not sure how well I'll be feeling with my COVID shot for the rest of the weekend, and also I don't plan on doing a whole lot. So I thought I would kind of update you on the final things that I wanted to, as well as kind of go over everything that I did end up reading during this vlog. So the first of those is that I already showed you these 2 books earlier in the vlog, but I also, while I was gone, got my book of the month box. So I got Arsenic and Adobo by Mia Manansala, I think. So this is a like cozy mystery about a young woman who returns to her small town, and I think her ex-boyfriend drops dead at some sort of party that they're at together, and so she seems to be the like prime suspect, but she actually ends up going to figure out who actually killed him. And so I'm super excited about this one. It's out from Berkeley, which is interesting because usually they publish romance novels, so I have a feeling this will be kind of like light and funny and that type of thing. So excited about that. And then also at the UVA bookstore, I ended up buying 2 books along with my Virginia shirt. The first of those was one that I've already read that I've been wanting to get a physical copy of for quite a while, which is The Summer Bus by Heather Mcgee. I read this back in February as an advanced copy and thoroughly enjoyed it. I give it like 4.5 stars, if not 5 stars. Would highly recommend giving it a read, and I wanted a physical copy because I think I want to reread it at some point, and so they had it for 25% off, which I was down with, so I got that. And then I feel like most people that love books, if they have other kind of interests, they like to also bookify those interests, and one of those interests for me is traveling, and particularly like kind of road trips and making day trips and kind of exploring new places in the general vicinity of where I live. So I got this like Virginia Off the Beaten Path book that I think is about kind of different places that you can go in the state of Virginia and fun like trips you can make. So I kind of looked through this one and then decided to get it somewhat on a whim, but I'm excited to have this and kind of investigate it more as I get closer to moving to Virginia in the summer. So then just to kind of go over the books that I've talked about during this vlog, I ended up finishing 5 books over the course of this week. The first of those was To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters, which I gave 4.5 stars. I also finished Low Country, a Southern memoir by Nicole Jones, which I gave 3 stars. And then on audio, I listened to A Most Beautiful Thing by R.Shay Cooper, which I also gave 3 stars. And then physically, I finished A Map is Only One Story, which is a collection of essays on immigration, family, and the meaning of home, and this is edited by Nicole Chung and Mensa Damari, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. And then I also finished Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and I gave this one 4.25 stars. And then I'm in the middle of 5 different books. The first of those is Overheated by Kate Aronoff, which I will be reading and continuing to talk about in a separate vlog that should be coming out a week from when this vlog goes up. I'm also in the middle of The Story of a New Name by Elena Ferrante. I've read about 98 pages of this one, and I'm really enjoying this. I love being in this world, and I feel like Elena Ferrante has a style that is very unique to her and also just feels very kind of true to life in a way that I really appreciate, so enjoying that. Also about 135 pages into The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, which I am partially listening to on audio and partially reading physically, and this one is engaging. I am not yet gotten to the part that I haven't listened to previously, although I think I have just stopped at the part where I stopped last time, so hopefully I will continue this one and not stop here again. So I kind of remember everything vaguely that has happened, so I'm excited to kind of get into the new content, and this is engaging. I definitely think Colson Whitehead is a very thematic writer, and the things he's exploring here are really relevant topics, and I particularly, given that this was published several years ago. I mean, I think the part of this was published back in 2016. I feel like part of the acclaim was that this book was part of a larger movement surrounding identity politics and Black Lives Matter, and kind of uncovering and kind of reinforcing the importance of recognizing America's history of slavery, particularly right around the election of Donald Trump. And so I feel like this book did a lot to kind of continue and amplify that discussion, and so it's kind of important for that reason in a like recent historical context, since this book's only like 5 years old. But I feel like that's a large part of this, and that's also why people kind of were so taken with it, and it's perhaps less so a kind of great character study or a plot that's super engaging, at least for me right now. And then I'm also kind of digging into Danger on Peaks by Gary Snyder. I've only read about 25-ish pages of this one, but it's only about 100 pages, so I feel like I will definitely finish this in the near future. And the first little section that I've read is fine. Nothing super engaging here. I feel like they'll probably give this like 3, 4, 5 stars if I were to rate it right now. And then lastly, I have to read more of the Swan book tonight so I can check in with Lindsay. I've read about 65 pages of this one so far, and it is also engaging, but I don't fully understand what's going on or if there's a plot to speak of. So those are the kind of 5 books that I finished, as well as the 5 books that I'm currently reading, and that's gonna kind of wrap up this vlog. So if you are new to my channel, I'd love to have you stick around and subscribe. Additionally, if you have read any of these books or just want to talk to me about any of my kind of adventures this week, I'd love to hear from you down in the comment section below. I hope you're having a great rest of your day whenever you watch this, and I will talk to you next time.